Hey there guys, my name is Christopher from the Red Rising Group, and welcome back to the Arifureta Season 1 Recap Series. This is part 4 and we'll be covering the entirety of everything which happened in Volume 2 of the Arifureta light novel. Now, it's safe to say that Arifureta Season 2 will be out before this series will be finished. But instead of stopping this series outright, I decided to carry it on during the second season, and will even continue it as the season is ongoing. So be prepared for more Arifureta content on this channel. Anyways, I hope you guys will continue to support the series as well as the other videos that we have on our channel, because I can assure you that you will most definitely enjoy the content that we make on this channel if you enjoyed this video. Also, in case you guys haven't watched the previous 3 parts which covered everything in Volume 1, then I highly recommend you to go and watch it before watching this one in order to keep yourselves up to date. And if you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to like and comment on the video on your thoughts about the second season of Arifureta. And as always, please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Anyways, with that all said and done, let's get into the video. After finding a way out of the Orcus Labyrinth, Hajime and Yue celebrated their escape. Though it was short-lived, as they began planning which of the 6 remaining labyrinths they should head to next. Upon deciding to head over to the Haltina Sea of Trees, which was the closest labyrinth, the two took off using Stife, a motorcycle Hajime had created in the Orcus Labyrinth. As they traversed through the canyon, they stumbled upon a girl with long blue hair and a pair of bunny ears running away from a group of monsters. Upon seeing the both of them, the girl cried out to them for help. But because they thought it was too troublesome, they ignored her and carried on their journey. But upon seeing Hajime, the monsters decided to bury their fangs against him as well, which resulted in their death, of course. The bunny girl thanked them and introduced herself as Shia Haltia before proceeding to ask for their help. However, in classic anti-sim fashion, Hajime refused her plea and even used his abilities on her. Surprisingly though, Shia was able to stay conscious during these attacks and persistently begged for help, forcing them to stop attacking her. According to Shia, the Rabbitman tribe she was a part of, the Halia tribe, were considered to be the weakest amongst the beastmen in terms of stats. In fact, they were a peaceful, anti-violent tribe. But the problem only arose when a strange girl had been born into the tribe. Now, it was completely normal for females to be born within the tribe, yes. Though, this rabbit girl was capable of manipulating mana, something the beastmen are not capable of doing. Because of that, they had to raise her in secret for the past 16 years. Unfortunately, someone managed to catch wind of her existence, which forced the Halia tribe to escape their country. But things got worse for them when they bumped into the soldiers from the Hulshire Empire, who proceeded to capture the rabbit girls as they were natural beauties. And because of this, they all attempted to run into the gorge, which caused them to be attacked by the monsters, which greatly declined their numbers. Though, despite her sob story, our main characters refused her once again, much to Shia's shock, as she revealed her special ability, Future Sight, to them, where she explained that she had saw both Hajime and Yue fight for the Halia tribe. Of course, this still hadn't convinced Hajime, but it definitely did for Yue, who told him to help her, saying that they needed a guide to reach the labyrinth within the Haltina forest. But Hajime knew better than that, and he could tell that Yue most definitely saw a part of herself within Shia. After all, both of them were born with unique abilities, and the two of them had to deal with some sort of misfortune in their own right because of it. Agreeing to this, Shia led the duo through the gorge in order to meet up with her tribe. Upon meeting up with them, Hajime and Yue guided the group through the canyon, killing every single monster that stood in their path. However, along the way, they bumped into the very same soldiers from before. Similarly like the monsters, they stood no chance against Hajime and were killed mercilessly. And this obviously worried Yue, who questioned if he was alright with killing people. But Hajime reassured her, telling her that he would no longer falter and kill everyone who stands in his path, whether or not they were monster or human. Upon arriving at the Haltana forest, our main characters and the Haltia tribe were immediately surrounded by the other beastmen tribes of the forest, who proceeded to call them traitors and so on for bringing humans to their sacred ground. As they were about to attack them, Hajime fired a bullet against them. As the Haltia tribe made a deal with our protagonist, they were now within his protection. Intimidated by his strength, the group backed down and questioned him as to why they appeared in the forest, to which Hajime tells them that they were here for the labyrinth and nothing more. While they may have been given access to Verbogern by the leader of the town, Ulfric, that didn't mean that every other beastman agreed to this, as a bandman challenged Hajime to a battle, one where our main character easily won, which intimidated the other beastman tribes. Though, as they were unable to access the labyrinth for the next 10 days, Hajime decided to train the Haltia tribe so that they could fight for themselves, with Yue deciding to train Shia. However, because these rabbit men were docile and anti-violent, Hajime snapped and became the cruelest trainer in the entire world. 10 days had passed since they first arrived at Verbogern, and it was safe to say that Hajime had turned these wholehearted rabbit men into the most dangerous beastmen in all of Tortoise, who are all completely loyal to him. Completely changed, which surprised and saddened Shia. And speaking of the rabbit girl, Yue had been training Shia, with the rabbit girl issuing a challenge to the vampire, whereby if she managed to inflict a single wound on her, she would be allowed to join them on their journey. And while it may have took 10 whole days, she finally managed to do exactly that, meaning that she was permitted to join them on their journey. And the reason she did so was because she liked Hajime romantically. But it wasn't that important, so let's move on. After this, the group all headed towards the Grand Tree in order to challenge the labyrinth. However, they were denied access, as they needed to have completed 4 other labyrinths prior before they were allowed to challenge this labyrinth. Because of this, the group, with Shia included, now headed to a nearby town to resupply. And after dealing with some minor problems in said town, the trio returned to the Rising Gorge, where they managed to find the entrance to the labyrinth. Upon entering, the group immediately had to deal with several monsters and traverse through the dungeon in search of the main room. However, each room contained a particular trap in them, which made the journey even more difficult. Not only were they lost in a maze, but they would also be constantly taunted by the person who had made the labyrinth, Milady, through a stone tablet, which angered the trio to no extent. Meanwhile, back at the surface, the group which remained at the castle were all feeling guilty and wordless after seeing all the hard work Koki and the others were putting in. One of which was a girl named Yuka Sonobe, the girl Hajime had saved in the Orca's labyrinth. Because of this, she and a couple of others decided to volunteer to become the teacher's bodyguard, as she was someone of high status in Tortoise due to a farmer's job she was granted upon being summoned to Tortoise. Now, returning to the Rising Gorge where Hajime, Yue, and Shia were still unable to find an exit despite a week passing since they first arrived. Finally, after using his tracking skill, the group, after passing through a series of traps, finally arrived at a large hallway where they were attacked by stone golems. However, the golems would constantly regenerate, which caused the trio to march forward towards the end of the hallway, where they were greeted by a massive golem. However, unlike the other golems throughout the hallway, this one was different. Why? Well, this golem contained the soul of none other than the liberator known as Milady Raisin herself, who greeted the three of them. She also posed the question of why Hajime was collecting these powers, to which he told her that he only wished to return home. Upon receiving this answer, Milady decided that it was time for them to fight. And it had been a very tough battle. But through the combination of Hajime's weapons, Yue's magic, and Shia's brute force, the trio were able to pull off victorious against the Liberator. Milady, in the final moments, tells Hajime that in order for him to reach his goal of returning home, he needed to acquire all the ancient magic from the remaining labyrinths. And after her supposed demise, the group were brought to another room, where they were greeted by a miniature version of Milady, who was very much still alive. Accomplishing the trial meant that they were able to gain access to gravity magic, another ancient magic from the Age of Gods. And this victory over Milady marked Hajime's group their success over the second labyrinth in Tortoise. However, unknown to the trio, their next destination would eventually lead to an unexpected reunion, a devastating battle, and a death. And this marks the end of part 4 of the Arifureta recap series. Now, I would like to sincerely apologize for the lack of consistency for the series, especially when season 2 is right around the corner. But I shall do my best to try and finish this series as soon as possible. Also, be sure to like and comment the video if you enjoyed it, and most importantly of all, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more anime related videos on the channel. With that all said and done, it's time to end the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye guys!